And now we are going to a next presentation by Roni Korycińska, or Kaczka, which means a duck. They are Larp designer and also a very strong voice in our Polish Larp community for young designers and young players. And she's representing a very, very big group of young people in this field. But not only, she also is a mentor and a youth leader on Larp youth camps. So if you would have more questions about that, you can do it later. But now we will go into a totally different field, which also she will represent, which would be gender non-binary in Larps. Bravo!
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Hello, lovely people. So, as you see, today we'll talk a little bit about gender non-binarity. I also want to, give you a little bit of introduction that I started speaking about this topic because I'm also gender non-binary, but also many of my non-binary friends who are also LARPers have very similar problems to mine, and we didn't really see them like a common thing until we started talking, and we seen that it's like really popular thing that is stopping us from enjoying many games. So I started talking about this. I am right now the main voice of the community, but all the topic I am talking about were discussed in the broader community. All right. So before we start the fun part, I need to do the boring part. That is the dictionary, because I want you to understand me. First things first. There is this misconceptions about what is gender, what is sex. Sex is everything that you think about the biological aspects of, the female, male. It's, really biological stuff. I'm really interested in this, but it's not today's topic. So if you want to know something more, in fact, the sex also isn't binary, and it's a really complicated topic. So if you want to know something more, let me know. I will be really excited to tell you more about SRY, gene, and other weird stuff. But also, I want to tell you something about gender. Gender, right now, like in modern times, in Western culture, we see gender like this binary thing in the most of times. Like there are men, there are women, and that's all? Maybe not, because there are many non-binary people. In other cultures, there are still like really popular things. They also used to be in previous times. So gender is more like social and psychological thing. It's more like, what is in your mind, what is your psychological state, and so on. And sex is something like, how do you mate? And how do you produce children? All right. So transgender, it means just that the gender you were assigned at birth, it's different that you're now. So if you were assigned incorrect gender in any terms, if you are if there was any mistake, in fact you are transgender. Also, the binary transgender people who are transitioning from woman to man and from man to woman are thing that we used to think, it's like the first thing in our minds that shows up when we think about transgender. But also non-binary people are transgender, because you know what? In any country you can't be assigned non-binary when you are born. So in fact, you have to be transgender to be non-binary. And non-binary are all those people who are not women or not men. So it's like really, really big term. And also three fast terms, passing. It's how you look. It's about how you are perceived by others. So if you look at me, I've got really female-y, girly passing in the most of days. But it's like the thing, how you look, how people perceive. It doesn't really have to do much with gender. For some people, it's really important to have passing matching their gender. For some people, it's not. Also, androgyny, it's something that many people mistake with non-binarity. Androgyny means that you look like neither man or woman, so like a little bit ambiguous. Not all non-binary people look androgynous. In fact, from Polish surveys, we know that most of them have rather female or male passing. Also, the last term is crossplay. Crossplay is whenever you at Larp play character that is different gender than you. All right, so if we started, I also want to show you a little bit about gender so you really, really know what I'm talking about. So, in most cases, you are man or woman. Simple, yeah? You are on this part of spectrum. I know that it's like really, really simple one, but I want you to like grab it in a second. Sometimes when you are non-binary, you are here somewhere in between. Sometimes you are at those both places at once or traveling between them. Sometimes you are up here, up here, and you are a gender, and you don't really feel that you have a gender. But also, you have been like me. Wait, not right now. You have been like somewhere in between. You have feel like you are woman, but not really, or like you are boy, but not really. And there are also kinds of gender. And you can be more like me and be somewhere there. So, you know, like you don't really feel like this whole concept and this whole gender spectrum really speaks to you. Like you have some kind of gender, but like, why? Why this? Yeah, it's complicated. Anyway, why am I showing this to you? Because I want you to notice that non-binary, it's not like one gender. There are many, many, many non-binary genders that are different. Some are like a bit easier to understand, some not. So we are not like this one big monolith. There are many, many of us, and there are many of, you know, problems and many of, you know, mindset because of that. Okay, so now we can say a bit about difficulties that we meet. Firstly, you cannot play your gender, in fact. You know what? Because nobody is creating non-binary characters. And even if somebody is creating non-binary character, guess what are the chances that you will get a character that has the same non-binary gender that you? Especially when you are in this weird place somewhere not in this classical triangle scale. So, firstly, lack of non-binary characters. Secondly, small amount of unisex roles. And also, many, many times, unisex for creators means men or women. So it's not like character that can be any gender, but like can be either man or woman. There are no other options. In most cases, also, you know, there are exceptions. Another one, it's something that I am meeting so much in our Polish community, is that crossplay. You know, when you're non-binary, and there are no non-binary characters, in fact, you are always cross-playing. I like it. I actually love cross-playing. But, you know, firstly, people, when you speak about crossplay, think only about, you know, women dressed as a man and also men dressed up like a woman. So, like, there is nothing in between. In fact, like, I am right now cross-playing somehow. Anyway, there are also weird stereotypes that when men will play a woman, it will be funny and nobody will be serious because it's so funny when you see a man in a skirt or, you know, woman who will have a fake mustache and nobody will be immersed and the game will be like terrible. So it's something I heard a lot. And because of that, many game masters are banning cross-playing at their Larps. So what does it mean for me? In fact, if I want to be honest, it means that I'm banned from this Larp because there are non-binary characters and cross-playing is banned. So I cannot play this Larp. Also, these are the pigs that are 6 months apart. I wanted to show you because it's like, I'm on both of these pigs, and I wanted to show you, like, I didn't do much, and now I'm better at makeup. So it's like, it's not that hard to like convincingly like the other gender. It's not that hard. So when GM is telling you that you will not look convincing, it's bullshit. All right, and the last difficulty is that because we are like this really minority group, we need to think about our safety. Mainly, there are like 3 topics. Firstly, not everybody can be outed because of safety reasons. I have, you know, this privilege that I can go around and talk about how I'm non-binary, but not all the people have this privilege. So also that's why I'm talking about this, not they are talking about this. But also, you know, you can't just talk in the community that it's a problem for you because maybe you cannot, in your everyday life, be outed. And you cannot let somebody know because, you know, it may be dangerous for you because of many reasons. We are not there to talk about queer community safety. They're undermining. It's like the, I think, funniest things, because many times I see people who are like, yeah, we are really accepting and it's okay, I don't care. But then, like, I was running a Larp and my non-binary friend was playing. Before the game, another player asked if anybody is cross-playing. And this friend started to wonder because their character didn't really have assigned gender, and you know, this player wasn't really thinking about this before. And you know, the player who asked saw that, looked at this person, and said, "Oh, you are playing a normal girl, right?" So you know, you can be like non-binary or normal girl, because yeah, you can be weirdo or normal girl. That's all. That's your choices. And also, what is really not cool, it's when people make this really big deal out of our presence. Like, we are not unicorns. We don't need like special things and making this really big deal. It's nice when you like ask about pronouns and that kind of stuff, but when you make a mistake, it's okay. It happens. We know that you didn't want to, and we know that you want to be inclusive. You don't have to like apologize us on your knees, asking to, you know, forgiveness. Like, we get it. It's not a big deal. Can we move on? All right. And now I want to talk a little bit about possibilities. Firstly, it's mostly about this language around characters. When you have non-binary players, it's really nice things to change your language. I said it on my presentation on Polish conference, and in fact I see like people are right now changing it, and it's really amazing because it's really, really comfortable when, you know, when you have a character that it's described with the passing, not with like what gender player must be to play this, but what passing they should have. And it's like quite nice thing to do, because sometimes, especially when you are gender fluid, one day you have like 100% perfect female passing, and another day also that kind of perfect male passing. And so, you know, when you speak about characters in terms of passing, not in terms of gender, you can have like, you know, if you are worried that somehow your players will look silly, like, you know, men wearing a dress, just tell everybody that they need to have like really awesome passing. It's not the best thing like you can ever do. It's not like the top goal. But if you're worried about it, it will be all right. It's like thing that it will really, really improve. That will be nice. And, you know, you also don't have to be worried about this, you know, all those uprzedzenia. Yeah, all these prejudices. Also, when you are creating unisex characters, firstly, make more of them. We love unisex characters. They are also really good for your games in terms of, you know, different communities. In some there are more women, in some there are more men, in some there are more non-binary people. So unisex characters lets you be really flexible and don't worry about, you know, your player group. Also, you can have a little bit more relaxed approach to gender. Like, you know, why does your character has to be this gender? Is it because, like, it's really important because, I don't know, it's women that give birth to a child, and it has to be women because giving birth was really important. But maybe you want to have this femme fatale character, but also you can have male femme fatale character. It will be something entirely different, but more interesting. Ask yourself, where are you want this character to be this gender? Why do you want to make this way? Because sometimes being a little bit more open to this gender approach, that you discover many more types of characters. And also, what is really nice, you can just write some non-binary characters. It also happens, it started to happening. I played this tune like the first or the second Larp in my life that had explicitly written non-binary characters in it. It was awesome. Like we were feeling really represented, me and the other non-binary player. And it was really, really nice. Also, non-binary characters are also this like a big box of characters and archetypes that you know, are not so popular. And to give you, firstly, I want you to ask yourself these questions when you will be making your character. Does their gender has any meaning? Like, okay, you're creating like female bartender. Why this person has to be a woman? Why? If they don't have like any reason that makes them better character when they are a woman, make them unisex. Second, why do I want to make them this gender? It's what I said about, this femme fatale. You want to have some kind of femme fatale character on your LARP? All right, but what if you make this femme fatale male? You want to have this scary, gangster guy? Well, what if you make them a girl? It creates so many possibilities because, like, the thing that people will think about them when they look at them, it's not only the gender, it's also how you are playing the character. So maybe you can give your players a little bit more trust, and that will create a much more interesting character. Also, the third question, would variation make this character more interesting? It's what I said about this femme fatale turned male. When you make this kind of change, it's like something super fresh from the character that everybody knows and everybody will know how they will behave. But when you make this character male or non-binary or whatever, in fact you are creating new interesting archetype. Also, I have some examples. Knight, we know knights. Like, knights are usually men on, LARPs, but you all know, I hope that most of you know, a little variation about this, and it's Brienne of Tarth. Do you know Game of Thrones? Who knows, okay, thank you. So, Brienne is like a character who is stereotypically this male archetype of the knight, but then George Martin turned her to be a woman. And because of that, she has this really amazing character arc and all her backstory about this, how it was important for her to be accepted in this community, how she wasn't, how all these little things change her experience. So, if you want, you can make this looks like, really tiny change and create character whose gender is important and also it's interesting. You can also do this with non-binary character and so on and so on. Also, if you want some ideas, best non-binary and gender non-conforming characters are magic characters. Fae are really non-binary coded in our community. Also elves. I played one unisex character of elf. I didn't know that if I was gonna play man or woman, so I played elf. And nobody really knew what was my gender, and it was really nice. So all the Fae character, all the elf characters, they are really great to make them non-binary. They are also really heavily non-binary coded in our community. So you don't have really to do much stuff, just it works. Then witches are also quite gender non-conformant coded. So all the fortune tellers and witches character, it's really nice to play a bit with this androgyny, with this female male looks when you are not really sure what's going on. Magic in our culture is also really heavily coded with androgyny, especially when you look back in 500 years ago and so on and so on. In many, many cultures, magic and androgyny are really strongly coded together. All right. I wanted to show you also one character. It's Janet from The Good Place. That is a robot, and she's not a girl. Yeah, and it's also a great non-binary character, great idea to create, like other races, robots, etc., that are non-binary, because why the fuck should they be men and the woman? They are like different species people. And that's all. There are some questions from the room.
Thanks a lot. As Larp organizer, I totally agree with you that unisex is and non-binary is very important. But my question was from my player position. When I communicate with men and women, I know a lot of cultural context, and I know stereotypes. And I ask you, please communicate with me as I am a woman. Okay, for me it's okay. But when I communicate with a non-binary person, please communicate with me as I'm a lizard. And I'm making a child myself. It's okay, but what you expect from other players? How you can show them how they communicate with you if gender is very important for this character?
Okay, so firstly, in most of the cases, gender isn't really that important to us. Like all that we know, most times all that we want is like to not call us men or women, so just call us person, whatever, human being, it's all right. But also, some people are using different pronouns. In Poland, in fact, like almost all people are using she or he pronouns, so it's not like a big deal. But I know in many other cultures, people are using different pronouns, so just respect this and treat them like humans. Sometimes they may have like something to ask you for, and that's all. Don't make a big deal of it. It's really not that big deal. All right.
I want to specify for a moment on Polish language because it's kind of designed the way that if you speak to someone, you kind of have to state whether this is male gender or female gender. And I assume it's easier to do this kind of LARPs in English, but I wonder, what are the difficulties when you do them in Polish?
Okay, so in Polish, in fact, it's quite easy because you can switch the way you speak. I can show you that later, but you can like think a little bit. Sometimes when you don't know who are you speaking with, you are already doing this, and I think that in many other languages, when you are speaking about people in a passive way, I think that it's how you should translate it. You also do not gender them. So that's all. If you don't use like, especially non-binary pronouns, you can just try to avoid any pronouns. And in fact, it's quite easy in Polish.
I have to this thing comment, because you can always make this is would isolate everybody who's not speaking Polish. But when you're doing a LARP in sci-fi, you can use what Stanisław Lem.
Neopronouns.
Yeah, neopronouns, and they are great because for everybody, he was writing about the robot, and when the first sentence in a book was "I was born," but in Polish you must say. Or either you are a girl or a boy, and it would sound like this: urodziłem się, or urodziłam się. And he changed one letter, and there was urodziłam się, and that changed everything. And that perspective is completely new. And in Polish language, that could be super interesting, because at the later panels before we said that people who are making LARPs are communists, so they will like neopronouns. So that's it.
Speaking of pronouns in English, my question is, wait, I have to structure it in my head because I didn't sleep a lot. The thing is, I find it quite difficult to demand any specific pronouns in LARPs that are large, that have a lot of people who maybe don't know all of each other and like interact very sporadically. Because I feel even if you say at the beginning that you have a certain pronoun, if it's they them, for example, because it's not usual, it creates sort of a barrier to interaction almost. Because LARPers are normally quite nice people, so they get really apologetic if they fuck it up, which is disrupting to play. Or they get scared to interact with you, so I never like demand any specific pronoun, I just say any. Do you have like any tricks and tips for that?
I would say that when you are introducing yourself, say that mistakes happened and it's okay, and you don't have to, you know, beg on their knees for for forgiveness. It's not that big deal. I think it really helps, but you know, like nice people are insecure about this. They just need to, you know, educate a little bit to feel more comfortable.
Also, I have an opinion. Is it working? I have a small opinion, like because in a lot of Slavic languages, same like with Slovenian and Russian, there is like middle sex, but sometimes it's used as not a derogative, but like diminishing a little bit, and it's usually used for non-life objects. And with that, I have a problem. For example, like you're still a person, but when you're using this middle,
we also have this in Polish.
Well, but we have time. In Polish, there's no setup thing about this because we don't have really a conversation on, for example, academic field of linguistic, and
we have actually
no, but it's little quiet. That is a problem. So there's only some people that are talking about this, and those neopronouns are something I'm really. I think that could be a way, but it will be established in years.
Somebody, babe, not you, that somebody is asking for a long time.
Okay, I just have one nice example because we listening the book and there are 3 genders: it's man, woman, and priest. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's also really interesting. Because like there are definitely like 3 genders in fact.
I just want to remind you that we have a free discussion rooms, and as this is a very, very important topic, and we love it, and we want to continue it. So let's remember that we have these rooms that you can continue the discussion in a chill-out room or free design room. But now we will have a break. It was supposed to have 15, now it will be 11 minutes, and we are meeting after the break here for the next excellent session. So take your time for a break. Thank you very much to Roni.